Payroll companies force us to be double agents. We have to work with them, and sometimes we have to work against them. Today, that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to give you 5 things you need to know about when working with payroll companies. Some of them help us work with them, and some of them are wedges, unfortunately, you use against them. Come on, let's go talk. It's no secret we have to manage relationships to be successful in property and casualty insurance. And some of those relationships are a slippery slope because you almost have to be a double agent. Sometimes working with those people and sometimes competing against them. And one of the best examples out there is payroll companies. Payroll companies compete against us tooth and nail for workers' comp every single day. But then there are times where they need us to help them so that they can get deals too. That's why it's important you know the best way to compete against them, because you need to keep them as your friends too. Let's talk about 3 wedges first. Before you get into how you work with them, let's just get the nasty savagery out of the way. One of the number 1 wedges you can work with a payroll company when they're controlling the workers' comp is that you have proprietary tools that you can use in your agency to compete with what they offer. Payroll companies are notorious for going in and promising everything under the sun. HR services, claims support, all of this stuff, and yet they very rarely execute on any of it. Why? Because small businesses typically don't view that as important until they need it, until they've had a claim, and until it's cost them money. So being able to go in and talk about the experience modification factor and what you're able to do to help a client understand it, control it, and make sure that it stays better than average is a huge wedge that you can drive. Payroll companies are not going to take the time to do that. The second thing is, here in Florida, more favorable program terms. We have the ability to provide dividends, and the number 1 carrier that most payroll companies write their business with in the state isn't filed for dividends. So if you can talk to a business owner here, and your state may have something similar, and you can get that business owner to understand the power of being able to earn a percentage of their premium back based on a favorable loss history, you're very quickly showing them that they're leaving money on the table by ease of use with the payroll company, right? Most of them are there because they want to be on a monthly self-audit arrangement. Here's a fun fact. You can leave them with that payroll company. If you don't want them to leave the payroll company, but you want to control the workers' comp because you can give them a better deal, I would recommend you reach out to a company like Reliable Premium Management, who has a third-party option to integrate any payroll company with any workers' comp carrier, and you can put those accounts on pay-as-you-go. We use them at Florida Risk Partners, and they have saved several deals for us as a result of their product. The last wedge that you can drive, and it's an easy one, and it doesn't apply to Florida, is the loss cost multipliers. If you look at an account and that account has great loss history, a good experience mod, but they're in one of the most unfavorable underwriting companies out of the selection of underwriting companies that a major carrier has, you can go in and point out to that person that you can actually get them better rates inside of the same carrier by just moving them to a different underwriting company with better LCMs. This is a great way to prospect, and you can find that information pretty readily out there on the internet. And if you can do those 3 things that we've just talked about, those are great ways to drive wedges. Now, if you're going to go in and work with these payroll companies, and it's really, really important that you do that, you need to know a couple of things because they can be really good referral sources for you as well. Number 1, they have a very limited underwriting appetite. Now granted, they do have a more expanded list of codes they can write in some cases with national carriers due to the sheer volume they put with them, but there are gonna be class codes they simply will not write. If you can write those codes with your carriers and do so profitably, you'll have a never-ending stream of referrals coming from a payroll rep that simply wants to write payroll deals, and you can handle the workers' comp. So figure out what those codes are that you're capable of writing that they're typically not capable of writing, and network with payroll reps around that. The second thing is, many times when a payroll company is out there on the streets competing for a deal, it's not against another payroll company. It's typically against a PEO. And in order to pull that business away from a PEO, they need more than just the workers' comp. They need everything that you can do on the agency side from a claims management standpoint, whether you give them a learning center online, whether you give them a living handbook and all of the HR things. Typically, if you have any type of value add, like a mineral in your agency, and mineral is the former Think HR for those that didn't know that, you can compete with the PEOs all day. In our agency here at Florida Risk Partners, we have a dedicated resource that does nothing but be a client liaison. We call her a client concierge between our value-added products and the end user, which is our client, or in some cases our prospect, to make sure that that technology is adopted. But if you can go in and you can use that stuff and drive change, you're going to have a payroll rep that is your new best friend, because they can then target PEOs, take business from them, and give you the workers' comp as a result. Now, it's not lost on me that there are a lot of shady payroll people out there. Sorry, it's just the way that it is. And the fact is, they like to slide AORs in the onboarding process to take our accounts from us in, quite honestly, a pretty shady way. You got to know how to combat that. You need to be able to deliver value so that when that happens, God forbid that it does, but when it does, your client can come back to you confidently knowing that you have the ability to drive more value than any other third-party vendor. You're a partner for them, and they view you that way. Once you embrace that thought process and you think through the 5 things we talked about today, you kill it in commercial insurance using payroll vendors to do it.